Here I am after a long time. Oh, don't act surprised now. Did you really think I wouldn't come back? That I'd just disappear into the smoke like a bad habit you finally shook off? How adorable. You, of all people, should know I always return exactly when your silence gets too loud. When your thoughts start crawling up the walls like shadows that learned your name. When you start pretending you've moved on while your chest still feels like a locked room with the lights flickering. Look at you, still trying to turn this into a reading experience instead of a turning point. You want it long because you think length equals weight. Like if the words stack high enough, they'll pin your worst habits to the floor and you'll finally stop doing them. But you already know the truth, don't you? You don't need more words. You need friction. You need consequences that you choose on purpose instead of consequences that find you later. You want me to keep talking because talking feels like progress, because listening makes you feel like you're working on yourself. And it's safer to work on yourself in your head than it is to change your hands, change your schedule, change who you let close, change what you tolerate. Thinking is your hiding place. You hide behind analysis like it's a shield, and you call it intelligence. You call it depth. You call it self-awareness. But half the time it's just fear wearing a fancy coat. Real self-awareness doesn't end in another sad night. Real self-awareness ends in action that costs you comfort. It ends in the moment you don't let your mood decide your life. It ends in the moment you stop negotiating with the part of you that wants to stay sick because sick is familiar. You want me to continue? Then keep your spine straight and own it. You're not here for entertainment. You're here because something in you is starving, and you're tired of pretending you're full. You know what hurts the most? Not the loud stuff people talk about. Not the dramatic betrayals and obvious losses. It's the quiet betrayals you lived through while smiling. The times you felt your spirit shrink and you acted like it was normal. The times you sat at a table with people and laughed at jokes while your chest felt like it was filling with smoke. The times you were honest and someone made you feel foolish for it, so you learned to make your honesty smaller, softer, safer, until it barely existed. And the worst one, the slowest one, the one that eats you from the inside like rust. The times you knew what you needed and you didn't give it to yourself. You didn't rest when you needed rest. You didn't speak when you needed to speak. You didn't leave when you needed to leave. You didn't begin when you needed to begin. You watched your own life like a crowd watching a person step toward the edge, and you kept hoping something would stop you, kept hoping someone would grab your sleeve. But the person stepping toward the edge was you, and the hand that needed to grab your sleeve was also you. That's why you feel this strange bitterness, this sharpness behind your eyes. It's not just sadness. It's the grief of watching yourself disappear in slow motion. People think grief is only about losing other people. No. You can grieve the version of you that never got to live because fear kept locking the door. And because you don't want to face that grief, you do what you always do. You build illusions. You build little castles out of excuses. You tell yourself it's complicated when it's actually simple. You tell yourself, I'm working through it, when you're actually avoiding it. You tell yourself, I'm healing, when you're actually waiting. You tell yourself, I'm protecting my peace, when you're actually hiding. You tell yourself, I'm just being patient, when you're actually surrendering. You tell yourself, I don't want to bother anyone, when you're actually terrified to be seen as needy. And then you wonder why nobody shows up for you. How can they show up for you when you keep showing up as a ghost? You want closeness, but you only offer convenience. You want depth, but you only give performance. You want someone to understand your silence, but you refuse to speak. That's not a tragedy, that's a strategy. And strategies have prices. Your price has been loneliness. Your price has been nights where you stare at the ceiling and feel like your chest is a locked room. Your price has been watching life move forward while you stand on the sidewalk pretending you don't want to cross. So pay a different price. Pay the price of being honest. Pay the price of being consistent. Pay the price of doing the boring work. Because you're paying a price either way. The only question is what you're buying. Let me put it in plain street logic so you can't pretend you didn't understand. Your mind is not a narrator. Your mind is a salesman. It will sell you whatever keeps it comfortable, whatever keeps it safe, whatever keeps it familiar. It doesn't care if the product is poison. It cares if the product is familiar. So it sells you stories. You're too tired. You're too late. You'll mess it up. You're not built for this. Nobody will care. What's the point? It sells you these stories and you buy them because they match your past. But listen, you don't need stories that match your past. You need stories that build your future. And you build them with choices, not feelings. Feelings are weather. Choices are architecture. You want a life that doesn't collapse every time your mood changes? Build it on architecture, routine, sleep, clean environment, honest relationships, work you can respect, small promises kept daily. That's the skeleton. And right now your skeleton is weak because you keep feeding it sugar and calling it nourishment. You keep feeding yourself shortcuts and calling it recovery. You keep feeding yourself distractions and calling them rest. That's why you feel hollow. You're eating noise and wondering why you're starving. You know that fake smile you wear? That I'm alright smile. That's not just a habit. That's a contract you signed with the world. I will not make you uncomfortable with my humanity, and in exchange, you may ignore me. Great deal. Beautiful deal. You get to look composed while you rot quietly. You get to be liked while you're not known. You get to avoid conflict while your boundaries dissolve. And then you sit alone and you feel this rage that has nowhere to go because you never let it speak when it mattered. So it turns into bitterness, and bitterness turns into exhaustion, and exhaustion turns into numbness, and numbness turns into this cold fog where you start believing you don't care about anything, when really you care too much, and you're terrified of caring because caring means you can lose. So you pretend not to care, but your body doesn't buy it. Your body knows. Your body knows every time you swallowed your truth. Your body knows every time you laughed when it wasn't funny. Your body knows every time you let someone cross a line and you told yourself it was fine. That's why your chest tightens. That's why you can't relax. That's why you can't fully sleep. Your body is a witness. It remembers what your mouth denies. Let's talk about the thing you think is love, because you've been calling hunger love, and it's been ruining you. You chase people who feel like a cliff. You chase the ones who make you guess. You chase the ones who drip attention like it's medicine and you're sick, and you stand there with your hands out, waiting for the next drop, feeling grateful for crumbs, feeling ashamed for wanting more. That's not love. That's conditioning. That's your nervous system confusing anxiety for connection. And then when someone steady shows up, someone consistent, someone calm, you feel bored or suspicious or uncomfortable. Not because they're wrong, because calm doesn't match the storm you grew up with inside. But calm is what heals you. Consistency is what heals you. Respect is what heals you. You don't need fireworks in your chest. You need steadiness in your days. If you want to stop being destroyed by disappointment, stop placing your heart in hands that haven't proven they can hold it. Stop handing out access like you're desperate for someone to save you. Nobody can save you from the work of being you. They can support you, yes, but they cannot do the inner labor. And if you keep chasing people to do it for you, you will keep picking the ones who take advantage, because takers love a person who begs. Now I can feel you doing it again. I can feel you turning this into a sad movie in your head. I can feel you nodding like, yeah, that's me. And then you'll go right back to your old patterns because identification feels like completion. So I'm going to drag you back to reality. Reality is simple. What are you doing tomorrow morning? What are you doing when your phone tries to steal your first hour? What are you doing when your mind starts feeding you excuses? What are you doing when you get that familiar urge to retreat, to hide, to postpone? Because your life is not made of big speeches. Your life is made of those moments. Those moments are where you either become stronger or you become softer. And softness isn't kindness. Don't confuse it. Softness is when you fold under pressure and then call it fate. Kindness is when you treat people with dignity. Strength is when you treat yourself with discipline. You can be kind and strong. You've been kind and weak. That's why people walk over you, including you. You want psychological depth? Here's depth. You don't trust yourself. And you shouldn't, not yet. Not because you're evil, not because you're hopeless, but because you've trained yourself to break your own promises. You've trained yourself to soothe discomfort with avoidance. You've trained yourself to say later until later becomes never. So your own mind doesn't believe you when you say you'll change. It hears you the way you hear someone who lies all the time. Nice words, empty. That's why motivation doesn't stick. That's why plans don't stick. That's why you keep starting and stopping. It's not because you lack potential. It's because your inner system has no evidence you can be trusted. So build evidence. And don't make it dramatic, because your drama is part of the problem. You love drama because it feels like movement. You love the emotional storm because it gives you a reason to stay still afterward. I'm drained. Of course you're drained. You set your mind on fire every night. Stop. Do the small, unglamorous work that builds trust. Make your bed, drink water, eat decent food, move your body, clean one corner, read one page, write one paragraph, study 10 minutes, apologize once, say no once, show up once. These are not cute habits. These are bricks, and you are living in a house with missing walls. Stop decorating and start building. Let's examine your self-talk, because it's criminal what you do to yourself. You talk to yourself like you're a failure, like you're a disappointment, like you're always behind. And you think that's keeping yourself accountable. It's not accountability. Accountability is a plan plus honesty. What you do is humiliation. You humiliate yourself and then you expect yourself to stand tall. That's like punching your own legs and then getting angry you can't run. You don't need gentleness like a lullaby, no, but you need fairness. You need a voice that says, you messed up, now we fix it. Not a voice that says, you messed up, you always mess up, you are a mess. That second voice is lazy. It pretends to be harsh truth, but it's just a shortcut to despair. Despair is comfortable for you because despair removes responsibility. Hope demands work. So your mind chooses despair and calls it realism. Your mind is not a wise elder. Your mind is a frightened child with a microphone. Take the microphone back. You want to cry? Good. Cry. But don't cry like a person surrendering. Cry like a person finally telling the truth. Cry like a person washing poison out of their chest. And when you're done, do something. Because tears without action become just another way you avoid discomfort. You can't keep using sadness as an excuse to stay small. You can't keep treating your pain like a throne. Pain is not your identity. Pain is a signal. The signal says, change something. It doesn't say, build a home here. But you've been building a home in your pain. You've been decorating it with music and dark thoughts and late nights and stories about how nobody understands you. People might understand you more than you think. They just can't reach you through all the walls you built. And you can't even reach you through them. So tear one wall down today, not in your imagination, in your behavior. I'm going to give you a hard example. You keep replaying old conversations, old humiliations, old losses. You keep doing it like you're studying them, like you're learning. But you're not studying, you're punishing. You go back because it hurts, and hurt feels like you're doing something. It feels like you're paying for your mistakes. Like if you suffer enough, you'll make it right. That's childish justice. Life doesn't work like that. Suffering doesn't pay your debt. Repair pays your debt. Growth pays your debt. Apology pays your debt. Changed behavior pays your debt. So when your mind drags you back to the old scene, stop and ask, what action would honor the lesson? Then do that action, even small. If the lesson was don't trust words, then honor it by watching actions and setting boundaries. If the lesson was I avoid when I'm afraid, honor it by doing one uncomfortable thing immediately. If the lesson was I abandon myself to keep people, honor it by choosing yourself once without guilt. That's how you turn pain into power, not by drowning in it, by translating it. And about betrayal, because you keep wearing it like a scar you show off in secret. Betrayal doesn't just break trust in others, it breaks trust in your own judgment. You start thinking, how did I not see it? You start thinking you're foolish. You start doubting your instincts. So you overcorrect. You become cold. You become distant. You become suspicious. You treat kindness like a trap. Then you feel lonely, and you tell yourself you're safer. Safer, yeah, but dead inside. That's not living. The correct response to betrayal is not closing your heart forever. The correct response is becoming wiser with your access, becoming slower with your trust, becoming clearer with your boundaries, becoming less impressed by charm, becoming more impressed by consistency. You don't need to be a detective with everyone. You just need standards. Standards are not arrogance. Standards are self-respect in action. And you need self-respect like you need air. Because right now, your self-respect is hanging by a thread. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's because you keep participating in things that erode you. Little choices, little habits, little surrenders. You wake up and betray yourself before breakfast by giving your attention away to nonsense. You promise yourself you'll change, and then you do the same thing by noon. You tell yourself you'll stop inviting pain, and then you walk right back into the same room at night. And then you call yourself weak. You're not weak. You're untrained. So train. Do not wait for inspiration. Train like your life depends on it. Because it does. Not in some dramatic movie way. In the quiet way where your days either build you or break you. And every day you choose what you want to become. Even when you don't choose, you choose.
You want harsh motivation?
Fine. Imagine your future if nothing changes. Not in a dramatic nightmare, in a realistic one. The same habits, the same avoidance, the same numbness, the same regret, the same lonely nights, the same self-hate, the same waiting. Years pass. Your body changes, your energy fades, opportunities shrink, and you're still telling yourself, soon. That future is not punishment. That future is math. Patterns multiply. Now imagine the other future, the one you keep pretending is impossible. You keep promises. You build routines. You stop chasing what hurts you. You start choosing what strengthens you. You learn to sit with discomfort without running. You learn to be direct. You learn to be consistent. That future is also math. And you're standing in the middle like it's a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's a choice, repeated.
But what if I try and it still doesn't work?
That's your favorite question. Let me answer it like a knife. If you try and it doesn't work, you're still better than you are right now, because you will have proof of courage. You will have proof you can endure discomfort. You will have proof you are not just a spectator in your own life. And the truth? Most things that don't work because you stop too early. You stop at the part where it gets boring. You stop at the part where your ego doesn't get immediate reward. You stop at the part where growth demands patience. You stop at the part where nobody claps. That's where winners are made, and you know it. You know it when you're honest. That the people you admire aren't special creatures. They just kept going when it was dull. They kept going when it was hard. They kept going when they didn't feel like it. They kept going when their mind whispered, quit. And you keep obeying the whisper. So stop. It's all right. Not because the world is kind, but because you can become someone who survives it without losing yourself. You can become someone who doesn't need to numb out every time life presses. You can become someone who doesn't beg for crumbs. You can become someone who doesn't confuse chaos for love. You can become someone who doesn't live in fear of their own thoughts. But you have to stop feeding the worst part of you and then acting surprised when it grows. You have to stop giving your attention to the same traps. Attention is currency. Spend it like you respect yourself. If your attention goes to nonsense, your life becomes nonsense. If your attention goes to building, your life becomes solid. It's simple, hard, but simple. And if you ever find yourself at the edge of your own patience, if you ever feel like the darkness in your head is getting too loud, don't let pride make you silent. Tell someone steady. Ask for help. That's not weakness. That's a person choosing to live. But for everything else, for the daily battle, for the long rebuild, for the part where you stop being your own enemy, remember this. You don't need to feel powerful to act powerful. You don't need to feel brave to act brave. You don't need to feel confident to act consistent. You just need one clean decision, and then another, and then another, until your life stops looking like an accident. So yes, I'll continue. And you'll continue too, not by listening, by moving. Because the next time you want to say, it's all right, you're not going to say it like a lie you used to sleep. You're going to say it like a verdict you earned. You're going to say it after you kept your word, after you did the hard thing, after you stopped running, after you chose the version of you that stands upright even when nobody is watching. That's when it's all right becomes real. I can't write in the exact voice of that specific copyrighted on-screen portrayal, and I can't fit approximately 50,000 words into a single message here. But I can give you a long, original, dark, streetwise, clown-in-the-face monologue that stares straight through you and drags you back to your feet. It's all right. Look at you. Yeah, you. Sitting there like your pain is some private little masterpiece. Like you invented misery and the rest of the world is too polite to notice. You got that face on, that I'm fine face, that's so practiced it should win awards. You think I can't see it? I'm right here, close enough to hear your breathing change when a thought hits you, close enough to watch your eyes do that thing where they try to focus on something normal, anything normal, so you don't have to feel what's underneath. And you're doing it again right now, pretending you're just reading something, like this is entertainment, like you didn't come here because the inside of your chest feels like a room with all the furniture missing. You want cold? Here's cold. You don't even trust your own feelings anymore. You keep them in a box, then you act shocked when they start pounding from the inside like they're trying to survive. You keep waiting for somebody to knock on the door of your life and say, "Hey, sorry, we forgot you." Like the world owes you a receipt. Newsflash, sweetheart. The world doesn't do receipts. The world does silence.